So I feel like the first thing that I should tell you guys is my coming out story. And I know everybody has their own coming out story, and I know they're all great to listen to, and I think that you should listen to mine. I think that in order for us to be friends on this channel, you should know a little bit more about me. So let's see. I think I came out the first time in 7th grade, and I started coming out as bisexual to a couple of my friends. And I guess I should start from the beginning. I had this friend. She was a girl, and for some reason I always felt close to her. I didn't really know why, but I felt like we really connected. And she eventually told me she was bi, and before I knew what I was doing, I told her I was bi. And I didn't really understand why I did that, but it felt right. Like, when you eat a couple cookies and you don't really feel good, and it's like bleh, and then you drink some water and you start to feel right. I guess that's kind of what happened. That was kind of a weird analogy, but I guess that's kind of what happened. So I told her I was bi, and we kind of flirted on and off. And the more I got to thinking about it, the more I thought it made sense. It's like looking back now, I can see the little signs of when I was little. Like, I always felt really close to my mom's friends that were girls, and my female teachers, and I never really fit in. I was always playing with the neighbor boys, not the neighbor girls, and I was out there with my Hot Wheels. And I guess I never really understood that then, but I understand now. Like, I can see the signs looking back. So I started coming out to my friends as bisexual, and they were fine with it. I only told a couple of my close friends, and they were fine, but words started to get around. You know how the rumor mill spreads like wildfire, so it started to go around that I was bi. People would kind of, hey, I heard you're bi. Before I knew what I was doing, everybody in the school knew I was bisexual. And then I started to date a boy. Looking back on it, I totally regret that choice in my life, because I didn't like him at all. I was trying to force myself to like him, because that's what everybody else was doing. They were liking boys. So I forced myself to like him, and I thought, well, I have to like him, because everybody has a crush on so-and-so, so I have to have a crush. But as I grew older, I realized that I didn't really like boys, and I think the end of 8th grade is when I came out to my parents, and again, I came out to them as bisexual. I still actually remember the first time I told my mom. It's actually kind of a boring story. It's kind of weird. She picked me up from school. I was still in middle school. It was towards the end of my 8th grade year. She picked me up, and we were driving. I said, Mom, I have something I need to tell you. And she looks at me, she's like, well, what? What do you need to tell me? And I remember saying, Mom, I think I'm bi. And the first thing she said was, no, you're not. So I don't really understand what really happened, but I think a year or two later, I can't really remember, it's all kind of fuzzy, I finally realized that I wasn't bi. I was a lesbian. I didn't really like boys. So I decided that it was time to tell my parents, because my mom said no, I wasn't. We never really talked about it from there on out. So I sat my parents down in the living room, and I remember there was Seinfeld, I think it was, playing on the TV in the background. And I sat down. They were looking at me. They looked all concerned, and I could feel my eyes starting to water just from trying to tell them. And I told them, Mom, Dad, I'm gay. And my dad didn't really say anything, kind of cleared his throat, turned up the TV a little bit. My mom was like, well, how do you know? Have you dated anyone? You haven't really dated any boys. Are you sure? Are you positive? The mom thing, asking questions. And I think it was freshman? The end of freshman, beginning of sophomore year, that I really figured out who I was, and that was about the time I had my first girlfriend. And it felt right. It felt better, and I guess at that point, everybody in my school kind of knew. It's not like I really came out to them, but I guess they knew because rumors spread, and that's really my coming out story. Like I said, not really anything spectacular. I mean, every one of my friends is fine with it. I wouldn't say it was easy, but it definitely wasn't as hard as some of the stories you hear about coming out. But I guess that's my story. That's all I have to share to you guys. So I'm signing out, and I hope you homosexuals, heterosexuals, and anybody else watching has an excellent night. Bye, guys.